What's going on, everybody? My name is Reginald Titus Jr. I'm representing Ground Over Matter Foundation. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, and we're about having representation in front of and behind the camera. And one way that we do that is by having our programs. One of our programs is these virtual workshops that we provide free to the public for educational purposes. So if you just go to our website at groundovermatter.org, you can kind of see more about our programs and also how you can be a member of our community and how you can donate to keep this going. But today we have Mrs. B. What's going on? How you
Hi, how
doing
are
today?
you?
Doing
I'm
pretty
good.
good. Thank you for joining us today. All right, so we're going to jump right into your bio. All right. Miss Bernetta Sowels, affectionately known as Mrs. B, is a passionate and creative force in the independent film industry, specializing in costume and set design. Her dedication to the craft was recently recognized with the Best Costumer Award at the IBDFF Festival in Ajax, Canada, for her work on the film Recession Proof. Throughout her career, she has contributed her artistic vision to a wide range of film projects and numerous stage plays, demonstrating a deep understanding of visual storytelling. Beyond costumes, her expertise in props has earned her accolades, including a finalist nomination for production design at the same festival, underscoring her ability to create immersive and compelling worlds for audiences. In addition to her significant contributions to film and theater, Banana is a successful owner of the Beehive Design Studio, where she channels her creative talents into interior design. Her professional life is balanced by a rich personal life as a devoted wife of 31 years, a mother to three children, and grandmother to three grandchildren. Her unwavering faith in God serves as a guiding principle in both her personal and professional endeavors, providing her with strength and inspiration. Grateful for her journey thus far, Bernetta looks forward to continuing to push the creative boundaries in both filmmaking and design, supported by her family and guided by her faith. In a few movies, we have Recession Proof, Starter Marriage, Stepdad, Run, Fight, Hide, Mr. Gates, Golden Voices 2, The Heart That Forgives 2, 12, Bid for Love 1 and 2. You've been busy.
Yep.
So what we like to do on here, we like to get straight to it. So
Okay.
what can you just kind of explain? We'll go first with like set design and then costume design. So like what does it mean to be a set designer?
Set designer. Well, I'm gonna say the definition of the set designer in independent film. That means I can have maybe three different jobs in the set design department.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but set design is actually the person that sets everything up that the production designer has gone over and given the visual aesthetics to that actual story and production.
Okay. Okay. And then costume design. Tell us about costume design.
Now, with being a costumer, that is more of creating that character. And also, the set design and costuming kind of goes hand in hand for me, especially with the independent film. Um, with the costuming, I'm creating that character, not
Mm-hmm.
only by the just the clothing and things like that. It's a lot of the details. It might be a certain type of necklace or earrings or something that are worn in that costume. You just bring out those little um, Easter eggs and those type of things in costuming, and that's getting with the hairstylists and everybody else to create that character.
Okay. How did you get involved into set design? How did that career start?
That actually came about with my good friend Arthur Muhammad. He was getting ready to film Start a Marriage. That was my first movie. And he called me and asked me, he actually asked me when he was shooting Carter High, and I was still in school, interior design. And I told him I wasn't ready. And we spoke on me doing interior design. And he called me up to do Start a Marriage. And it's like I knew nothing about set design. I knew my interior design, but when he explained it to me and gave me the script, I kind of just fell in, and that's how it came about.
So talk about that project a little bit more as far as like you were basically learning on set, and sometimes
Yeah,
it's like,
hands on.
so
Uh,
So how was that? So that was your first film, right? Becoming a set designer. So like, what w- what you didn't know then as a beginner versus like now you have a lot of films under your belt. So like what some of the from that experience, what have you gained? What do you understand now about the that
Oh, a lot.
department?
And
Yeah.
it's just learning um, the different directors as well who you're working with. But far as the actual job with set design, my process of doing that is reading my script first. And when I read it the very first time, I am getting an understanding and a mood. And the second time I read it, I actually pull out those elements that are needed. And I usually meet with the director, and he goes over some things with me of what his wishes are. And I just love when they give me creative freedom to pull a lot of things in. And I just pray that I bring all of those things together for them to see what they actually wrote. So, and I
Um.
just apply a lot of my principles from interior design,
Mhm.
my basic things of scale, texture, color, balance, harmony. Those principles I apply it when I'm doing my set.
What so when you're dealing like with independent film, you're dealing with the fluctuation in budgets. So with set design, what does that mean for you? If say, you have the money that you need to do what you need to do, and then when you don't, how do you get creative? Can you give some examples of
Oh,
that?
you said it. You have to get really creative. And I have gone so far of asking family members. I go thrift shopping. I might see something in a loved one's home. I've taken things from them just to stay within our budget, with different art pieces, things like that, pillowcases and throw pillows, all that kind of thing. All those things I usually pull from thrift stores in my home, my family's homes. So yeah, they're about tired of me with that.
So, so what does your kit look like? You know what I mean? Do you have like just a warehouse full of stuff? Because
No, 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 no.
different departments we have, kits and things like
Yeah.
that. So what is your toolkit?
My toolkit is usually it consists of my tool belt, my drill, my all different types of things. I could place things on the wall because a lot of times we can't put holes in the wall, and I had to get creative with that. And actually, the DP I work with a lot, Stacy Stewart. He introduced me to this kind of a goop, and I use it on my pictures and things like that that I put up on the wall. And we just kind of pull it, and it doesn't leave any marks or pull the paint away. My kit consists of my measuring tape, my balancing tool, my balancing scale. I usually have all types of panels, curtain panels in my. I have a big yellow and black box, and people see me coming like, "Here comes B with that box." I have everything in that box. I might have 3 or 4 boxes. And far as storing things, I've condensed down to 2 warehouse spaces. So
Oh.
I usually just by reading my script and creating my little Bible for that set, I
Mhm.
pull all of my items from my storage units.
Wow. Okay. So you do kind of keep an inventory of things as you go
Yeah,
on project to project. Okay.
correct.
What are some important things that somebody that's getting into set design? What are some things they need to know? And then also like filmmakers, they might not know they need a set designer. You might just like, hey, we just go in the room and we shoot, right? What are some things they need
In
to
that.
know?
Well, things that they need to know, I would suggest anybody going into set design, they need to be some sort of creative artist. And I think being into fashion or interior design or even a stager, a home stager, I think that would be really good. But once you're on set, I think everybody needs to come on set to get that hands on thing, actually seeing how it works and flows. because when I first came on set, I had no idea. It was like, okay, cut back to one. I knew nothing of that lingo. They need to learn the lingo. And I was like, back to one, what we doing? And they go, refill the cup, set it back over here. Let's do once I got it, I even came up, okay, let me take pictures of each frame for myself. And I started putting scene 32, 32A. I was keeping up with it. So if they said they needed to do a reshoot later on, I could go back to that and actually see it.
Do you have duplicates of certain products in your warehouse for like continuity purposes?
Do I have certain
Like
kits?
duplicates, like if you have like, for example, say if like a prop or something like a cup or anything like that.
Oh
Do
yeah,
you,
if my director writes in a shattering glass, something like that, I will make sure I have a case of those glasses. And a lot of times they've used graphic designers to recreate it if it needed to be with a plastic cup, the sound effect or whatever. But definitely, I use multiple bases. And in wardrobe and costuming, definitely, especially with the shooting scenes, things like that, or wasting something on your clothes within that scene. I definitely have two and three of those items.
okay. What should filmmakers they're interested in directing or producer? What should they know about your department, and usually how many people's in your department?
Ideally, it should be four people. Your lead set designer, you should have your shopper, your runner, and you should have a PA assigned to that department. But with independent film, as I said, we usually have to do all of those jobs. And I just, like I said, I create my Bible, and it's a spreadsheet. It lets me know scene by scene what I need to have on each set. And I always try to stay at least two sets ahead. And sometime even with location, some things could fall through and I have to be able to come up with something quick. I might have to flip a room. I think you were on set with me once when you saw me flip a room.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, man, what's going on here? I'm gonna leave. What I forgot what I was gonna ask. Um, um, I forgot what I was going to ask you. Okay, so collaboration is key, right? We're in filmmaking, so collaboration is everything. Um, what are, like through your experiences on different sets, like how important is it to communicate, and what should the main producer and the director be communicating to you?
That's in pre-production. We usually, because it's really no rehearsal once we get on set. That has been drilled in my head. So um, just pretty much in pre-production, we do the location, the producer, director, and I'm usually with the DP as well. They let me know what is needed in that scene, like lighting, if they need practical lighting, things like that. So we go over everything, and I usually set up a mood board and shoot it over to my director and let them see the items I would like to bring into that scene. Because I have to tell people all the time, your set is actually a character of its own, and it brings in that personality to the actual character that comes on it.
Yeah, that's true. Seeing like when you were putting the room together, like it's just a blank room. Like, okay, what they gonna do with this? And then y'all start bringing in the furniture and y'all start putting things on walls. Like, wow, this is looks like a whole different location versus
Right.
like the two or three walls that we're going to be shooting. What are some common misconceptions about your department?
I'm gonna say a lot of people think I am to create a miracle. It's
uh,
those budgets that they give me,
yeah,
but a lot of people think I am to do. Once I do set, they think I'm over props as well, and that's how I get thrown into doing props and everything else on the set. Because actually, when I do set design, I am to just set those items in that room, create that room, and those actual glasses and things that you asked me about. If I had to do duplicates, that's the prop person. But I end up taking all of that on, especially in the independent film.
Okay, talk about that props because that's a whole nother department that's different, that's separate
Mhm.
from set design and costume design. How should the props department, how should that be ran? And then also, how can you juggle, what you do by being over the props department as well?
The prop department should actually be ran the same as any of the other apartments, knowing scene by scene what is needed. But like I said, when I started out, it was just me, and I was kind of thrown out there. And I'm like, okay, let me jump in here and do what I need to do. And I start, as I was reading, I start seeing, oh, she has a knife in her hand on this scene. Okay, she has this and this on this scene. So I made sure everything was very cohesive. And I think once my director saw, okay, B is doing all of these things. And I did maybe 2 films before I realized, oh, you're doing 6 jobs. I didn't know. I once I started studying more and I actually got on a major film, and I saw when I was hired in as wardrobe supervisor, that's when I realized everybody has a job. It takes a full team. I would love a full team. And I've actually tried to get some PAs to come in with me to do this, but they always go, Miss B, this is hard. I thought this was easy. I was like, no, it's not easy. Just follow the guidelines. Once I give them their spreadsheet, create your Bible. They they always thought it was easy. I guess I made it look easy for them. I don't know. But yeah, I tried to build a team.
Yeah. Yeah, and on some of the projects we worked on, you definitely had someone running and helping you out.
Yeah.
Um, what what type of genres do you like working with?
My favorite would be romantic comedies. Um, my other genre would be thrillers. I love thrillers. Um, I think that would be kind, and I'm good with the faith-based movies as well, but the thrillers and romantic comedies are like my favorite things to do. They're my favorite.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna put some of your films up here, and you can kind of talk about um, the set design on the project. 1 second. Let me remove. All right, there we go. 12. Let's talk about that.
I
Who
had
was your
major
role in?
fun on that set.
What'd you say?
I had major fun on that set.
Yeah. Okay. Tell us about it.
Well, with 12, this one is written by Arthur Muhammad, and he actually gave me this script while we were filming um, Stepdad. And I read it, and I was actually with my best friend, and we were at her mom's house, read it, and I thought about it, and that's how I came up with the location for 12. We ended up shooting deep in the country, very secluded space. And the home, it just fit. I once I read the script again, I called Arthur and I said, I know the perfect place for this. I was sitting in this home and I know the perfect place. We all met up and I met up with the DP. Some of the executive producers actually came out with us and they saw it and they were in love with it. I did some little tweaks and changes on the doors. We actually put in, we had a bar door installed. You know, the ones in when you're deep in the country or in old neighborhoods, those
Hmm.
bars you have, we had that installed, and even on the front windows, we had those installed for that house. It was just different things we created in there after we actually did our walkthrough, and I try to stress that to every producer and director. your set designer needs to be with you at the very beginning in pre-production. And just working with these particular guys, I like the way that our process when we go through and do our walkthroughs with the set design. But with 12, yeah, we were in the country. We did the full walkthrough. We did some tweaking on a lot of things. I don't want to give a lot of stuff away of how we did it, but
Okay, okay.
yeah, that one was pretty fun. I had a scary moment. I actually stayed on set one night so I could stay ahead because we had a big shoot day.
Hmm.
And I creeped myself out because I created that character 12 out of the statue. Excuse me, out of the statue that was sitting in one of the scenes. And it spooked me, and my assistant stayed with me, and we know what we saw. Our door knob twisted and open, and we knew we were the only ones there. And we
No.
ended up calling. we
What did
ended
y'all
up
do?
calling. We called one of the executive producers. I called and said, I need somebody to come pick us up and get us off the set. Something creepy just happened, but
Yeah.
it was a pretty good set. I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it.
Wow. Did y'all get picked up?
Yeah, we were
Okay.
outside with our
That's how
bag,
that's how you do it.
and
That's how you,
actually, I lost my assistant that very next day. She said she wasn't coming back.
oh no. So she saw it too? She saw the door
Oh,
move?
she was sitting there. We were literally looking at because we heard it, and we both turned and looked, and the doorknob twisted, and the door opened, and I'm like, "Hello," and I immediately went into prayer.
Yeah.
But the young lady was like, "Miss B, I cannot, I cannot." And I
Yeah.
called them to come pick us up. I think it was one of who was it? Stay Humble. She came and rescued me.
Shout out to Jay. Shout out to Jay.
She came and rescued me that day.
Wow. So it was a secluded area, right?
Yeah,
And this is it kind of like a one location type shoot?
it was no, 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 no. It was not a one location shoot, but
Hmm.
this home was like our main character of sets, if you could say. That's how I
Okay.
look at it. This is my main character set,
Okay.
and this is
Hmm.
ho. But we shot in, I want to say maybe 3 locations.
That's cool. Hmm.
Yeah, I want to say it was 3 solid locations that we shot 12 in.
Okay. Okay. 12. All right. We're gonna go to
There was
another
a lot of
joint.
research I had to do with 12.
Oh, yeah. My bad. You said you had a lot of research with that one.
Yes, yes, because Arthur touched on a lot of the Haitian culture, and I had to do research on their game of dominoes, bones,
Yeah.
and it's the story itself, the storyline itself, kind of explains that, and I had to do a lot of research, and I we created some really cool things with the dominoes in order
Okay.
to make them move across the table and things like that.
Okay. That makes sense. Um, did y'all have any other Haitian inspired objects on set?
It was a lot of Haitian things inspired on there from the script that was written inside of the domino box. And there was also a letter that was written, and inside one of these bags, there's a chicken foot, and they speak on why it was all bound up. There was a lot of different things in there that went to the Haitian culture.
Okay, that's why the door was moving. Okay. Uh, okay, talk about Beautiful Love. So this is the first one. Talk about your experience and like what departments were you working in for this particular project?
This movie made me go above and beyond. And I'm going to have to say that these 2 ladies were on top of everything that they needed to be on top of. They knew what they wanted. They allowed me to be very creative. They did. I just love working with Luana and Sean Patterson. And They always let me have my creative freedom when I'm on there, but this particular time I did have a team, and this is where we were working in the middle of the summer. I want to say we were in June, and I literally had to work prop set, wardrobe, and some of the locations, looking for locations. And this one made me push really hard. And this is when I knew, okay, I can do this. I can really, really do this. But I love working on this set. I love work whenever we ready? I'm ready. I mean, I just love working with them. I do.
What were some obstacles, some new experiences with
Well,
costume design and set design?
well, on this particular movie, we definitely needed a full wardrobe and costumer. We needed a wardrobe supervisor. Um, Also with set and prop, me doing all of those jobs. This was the movie that challenged me, and I got it done. I just put my head down and got to work, and I did it. But when she was ready to do part two, I was like, "Look, we got to get a whole team. I have to get a whole team." And at the very end, almost of Bid for Love one, um, they brought in another young lady. To help in wardrobe for me. So that was like a relief. And once she came in, I asked them, "Are y'all going to call her back?" She came back and actually did all of the costuming and wardrobe, Vicky Lockhart. And
Hmm.
she and I became really good friends from working on this set. But like I said, I this is the one movie set that actually challenged me.
Wow. Since we're kind of talking about the costume department, costuming, let's talk about that a little bit more. So, what does that actually entail with costumes, and then also what does that department look like, and how many people should be in that department?
Well, with the costuming with this type of movie, and with the style and aesthetics that Lawana wanted to pull off was very high class and high fashion. And as she told me she was gonna do it too, I wanted her to allow that fashion to build, because in Bid for Love one, this young lady is actually just getting out of prison, and it was certain things she wanted her to have on and wear, and I was like, "No, I understand. This is your story." I said, "But let's build it and let it be authentic." And we still laugh about this because it was something she was trying to put on her character, and I was like, "Nah, we're not gonna come out like that." And I ended up calling Arthur, and she said, "Miss B, did you call and tell it on me?" I said, "No, we were talking it through." And he said, "No, I need them to be in this." And when he called her back, "We're not doing all the bling." We still laugh about it, but she always teased me about it. Go, "Miss B, you called and told it on me." I was like, "No, we have to talk these things through so it'll make sense and we could capture the audience, and it has to be realistic." And she was like, "But I did this." I was like, "But everybody don't do that." Everybody just don't. I wanted to capture, I wanted to capture the audience, with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But as far as like the other characters,
Mhm.
the way that I go about dressing them, I always look at my character's skin tone. Even on my form, when I send over to the character of getting their measurements and sizes, I always ask them about their favorite fabric, what they like to wear, what feels good on their skin, and what are they allergic to for a certain clothing. And several of the actors have told me, "Miss B, people don't usually ask us that." I was like, "But for you to be in the right headspace and doing what you're supposed to be doing, I need you to be comfortable." I always want them to be comfortable. That's my goal.
Um, do you in that department, do you are things being custom? Are they being tailored? Do you take pictures of them in these costumes? How does that workflow work? During, I
We
guess
have
that'd be
had
during the pre-production process.
Yeah, we have had some custom things done. I know in Bid for Love too, it was a lot of custom things done. Um, they had major fittings and things like that on part two. But in part one, it was not a lot of that done. I don't even think we did any uh, custom fittings, but I mean, always we get sizes and measurements and things like that, of course. But it was no, no need of a seamstress to be on set and things like that. But we had, like I said, I pretty much do a full mood board of the costumes, their color palette, things like that. And I send it over to production. Everybody looks through it. If they agree on it, okay, yeah, be good color palette, or change that jacket out to this, this, and this. Those type of things happen in the pre-production for costuming.
Okay, got you. All right, I'm gonna go to another one. All right, here's stepdad. How did you contribute in this particular project?
Now with stepdad, I did a wardrobe and set on this one as well, improv as well. This one was the rom-com that I really love working on. This set was fun as well. I
Hmm.
truly enjoyed watching the young man Daniel uh, perform. He just kind of blew me away. But during Stepdad, I wanted to include some of our culture in this because we were showing um, a single mom, a black woman doing her thing, and I I kind of connected with this character. Not that I'm single or anything. I connected because of I watched my mom and I've watched one of my sisters do this, and she was considered a hot mom at the school. So I knew exactly how to dress Portia in this. I didn't want Portia to just be Portia, but I wanted her to kind of come down just a little bit. And she did an excellent job at doing that, playing the single mom. And when I say involving our culture and things that we actually have happy places and showing that we belong in some of these places. So with the costumes, I ended up putting the younger characters um, in t-shirts that represented our HBCUs and letting people connect with that and letting them see, oh, all our kids are not bad. All of our kids are not out here being drug dealers and all of that kind of thing. So just trying to change the trajectory of our storytelling and connecting, the different HBCUs with it as well. And some of the art that was in that movie we did with some local people.
That's cool too because you do have like a subset of the culture where some of the more, I guess, violent or like movies kind of dealing with like kind of like the subculture of certain
Yeah.
neighborhoods, that gets pushed. It's more popular, I guess, on platforms. So it's cool to see this. I remember seeing the promo to this, and I had no idea that Sean had did it, and I was just like, wow, this like feels good,
It's a
it.
it's a feel good movie.
And it's cool that people are thinking in that way. What are some other were there any obstacles with this particular film? Did you have was this how many locations? Do you remember like how many locations you had to work with on this one?
Uh, I want to say we had 4, 5 locations, but everything went really smooth for us. Besides a neighbor, I'm not gonna get into her, but
Oh, you
at
got a
the
neighbor
main
telling on y'all, huh?
location,
Wow.
at the home, uh, that was the only obstacle we had, and we overcame it. It was quick and easy. No, I am lying. The biggest obstacle, and I don't know how I went past that. We were actually at a real jail when we did that scene,
Y'all
and
right? Okay. Okay.
we were at a real jail. And I
Okay.
want were we in Fort Worth?
That's what I was gonna
Anyway,
ask for y'all in DFW. Okay, so y'all shot
we
everything in
were in
DFW.
Fort Worth, I think. And the owner of the set, he rents it out for different movies and things. He said, "Do not close this particular door. because I have no way of opening it. The fire department will have to come out and get you guys out. And at that time, our DP, yes, I'm going to call you out, Roy. He decided, oh, I'm going to close this door. And I happened to be on the other side of that door.
Ah, come on, come on.
But he was to help Roy. He wasn't there when the guy gave the speech. And as Roy was like getting some of his equipment, he went to close the door and everybody is screaming, no, not that door. And the door, boom, and it clicked and it freaked me out. And so happened, Sean's brother was there, Brian. He had come in from California to sit in on the set and watch. And he was trapped on the other side with me. And he went into the big board and started messing with things. I said, this man said, we got to call the fire department if this door ever closed. He does not know how to open it. And he was like, yeah, B, we can get this door open. And there was this one button. He pushed it and everything unlocked. I said, we need to let him know
If there's a button.
that there's a button here. But
Yep.
that was the biggest obstacle and the scariest moment for me on that
Wow.
thing. Everybody got a laugh from the face. Actually, somebody captured my face looking through the glass of like, y'all got to get me out of here. But yeah.
But so we talk about locations because usually, like in the DFW area, for the most part, people are usually, I think, like I would say, friendly towards like film productions. But every now and then, you may have like a situation where you have in this case, a neighbor or somebody in a neighborhood that may cause a problem. So how did y'all overcome the issue?
Oh, on stepdad with that neighbor.
Yeah.
He was just curious about what we were doing and why we were doing it. Had we talked with homeowners association, those type of things, and we usually leave that to the production coordinator, to handle those things. And at that time, I think because Arthur did this one, Arthur spoke to her, and after they finished speaking, it was fine. It was fine. But I just had a feeling someone was going to say something because I pay attention to my surroundings and I kept seeing a
Yeah.
curtain open and close. I said, we're about to have a problem. That was the first day, but the second day is when she actually came out and said something to us.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
We have a question. What is a good budget for your department for an indie project?
It's kind of hard to say. It's kind of hard to say because, like I said, I have to get really creative with some of my budgets. I would love, love, love to have uh for an indie film. I'm saying for an indie film, I would love to have a 4 to 5 thousand budget. I would love to. That would
Mhm.
be ideal for an independent film.
Right.
That gives me a lot of wiggle room.
Okay. Okay. Let's go over to the Golden Voices. Tell us about this project and what department you work in on this one.
This one, I was strictly set and prop with this one. And we shot this particular movie in Terrell, Texas. And just meeting these people, it was a very calm set. I enjoyed being on this set as well. This was a major switch and change for me because I had went from doing all the really high energy movies with the shooting and everybody bleeding, somebody tied up to
Yeah.
this. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, yay.
Yeah.
It calmed my whole spirit, but I enjoyed working on this one here. I didn't have to do a lot of set because the way that Mike looks at his scripts, he has a lot of hands on with his set design as well. And we'll talk about different things and he'll tell me exactly what he wants on his set. Um, but yeah, most of his things were, he could see them because he actually goes around and visits all of his locations himself, and he'll bring us in after he's visit and lock them in. And he asked me, "Can you see it? Can you see it?" And I'm like, yeah. And if it's things that he wants to bring in, if he wants to include some sort of uh, art or even create some sort of Easter egg in that space, I'm able to do so with that. And he brings a lot of his own art with him as well.
Interesting. So, like, what do you working with different artists, so like different directors? What do you see is important? Because that's three different directors, right? So far. What are some of the things you can pull away from those from different directors and what they do well, and how another filmmaker can kind of implement what you've learned by working with them?
What do I pull away from him? I mean, just working on sets, I would have to say that's the most important collaboration you have to have is with your director. Um, they've all taught me how to own my department and take lead of it. I would always get kind of I would get a little skitsy, like, okay, I don't know if this is right. Maybe B, stop doubting yourself. These three particular guys that I've worked with, Arthur, Mike, and Sean, they are very supportive of me. And they support me and they keep pushing me to get better at what I'm doing. But a takeaway from each of them would I'm gonna just have to say the consistency, me staying on top of what I'm doing and being confident in what I'm doing. And they keep telling me you're doing a great job. Just be confident about what you're doing right now in your space. Own it. Pretty much own your space.
What does that mean? Like when they say own your space, what does that look like?
Owning my space. Being in pretty much being in control of it. Not having to ask them every little bitty thing because I kind of come across as trying to people please instead of being creative. And once they tell me, B, this is you, do it, I knew that was the true definition of creative freedom. They let me get out there and do what I wanted to do, and I landed it. And so now I do have a way of working and sort of the equation I need to use on each movie set, how I need to go step by step with each thing.
I see. I see. We have Deja said, "Hey, Aunt B." I don't know if you see that on there. Okay, and all right. So next one. So you with recession proof. That's one you won the awards on, right?
Had a blast. Yes, sir.
Okay. Talk to us about this one. And
This,
you got an award for set design and costume design on this
yes,
one. Okay.
yes.
Yeah. Talk about that. Talk about it.
On recession proof, we did filming here in Dallas as well as working in New York. And once we got to New York, we had a chance. The biggest thing for me was that when Khadijah Kareem, who's the writer and also the main actor in this one here, when she said that um, the young lady that I was going to be working with, Sade in New York, she's an actual stylist there, and she had access to sample rooms. I lost my mind.
To sample, is it called sample room? Is that what you said?
There's sample rooms to like when you go to Nordstrom and when you
Yeah.
go to the big stores that are there in New York
Uh-huh.
for fashion. You know, they do fashion week. They're
Hmm.
the fashion capital. So
Absolutely.
we went and Sade pulled a lot of things from designers that were there in New York. And I just sent her over all of the looks that I wanted to do on Khadijah, and she landed every last one of them for me.
Wow.
All of the bright, vibrant colors that you see Khadijah
Hmm.
in, Sade pulled all those things. She did all of that. That part when we got to New York, but here in the Dallas scenes where you see her come back with her mom,
Hmm.
those are all me creating that character. And I appreciated Khadijah wanting to be the character and not just Khadijah. Even though this was her story, she
Hmm.
wanted to actually fit it into that character and everybody else to really get it. It's just, exaggerating that character a little bit more.
Okay. Okay.
So she was very cooperative with the costumes and everything that I was picking out for her. She just went with it.
And when you call it a look, what'd you call it? A look? I forgot what term you used.
With my mood board and my lookbook.
Lookbook, yes.
Mhm.
Um, how do you develop a lookbook? Just to help people that are interested in your department. How do they develop a lookbook, and how do you stay sharp with your craft?
And that's just always studying um, fashion, really. And but when you go into creating a character, that's you reading that script and pulling things out from that script of that person's character. You got to know your fashion, and a lot of it. I did a lot of research on different things. I always research what a like what would a New Yorker dress like? What would a New York stockbroker look like? And I gave her the little twist of a black woman as a stockbroker. What would she look like? And I could even pull like I think in one movie, um, my inspiration came from Tamara Hall on something, and I pulled different characters or even real news anchors, things like that, and I'll use them, and I'll start pulling things that look like their wardrobe. But far as someone being in that department, it's all about studying fashion actually, and knowing what era you're in. It's in what season. A lot of people I catch them. They might have a character in a jacket at one point, and then the next scene there, I'm like, what season are we in? And I try to tell them that's very important if you want to keep your audience captured and feeling what's actually going on in that movie. You got to know what season you're in and what era.
What? Okay, so you got to stay on top of fashion. Are you
Mhm.
looking at a lot of magazines, and then also do you watch a lot of movies and kind of see like, okay, what time?
I watch a lot of movies. Um, And a fashion magazine, Essence magazine is one of my favorite. I go to. Um, I also go on Pinterest and I go through that. I'll plug in something and it'll definitely pull me up a lot of things. But for our community, our culture, I definitely go to Essence magazine and look at the fashion. Um, Another designer that's here that I've been watching very closely is Jay Bolden. I watch him a lot. And I'm like, I love his style. I love the way he styles everyone.
All right, talk about the like set design because you also won an award for set design in this particular film, right?
No, not for this one. That was in Sean's movie.
Oh, the stepdad. Okay,
Stepdad. Mhm.
okay.
But for this one, I won for costume. And like I said, I enjoyed doing this one and dressing everyone.
Hmm.
And you were asking me what were some of the set design?
So were you working? You were working both departments in recession proof.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So talk to us a little bit about that one, and then we'll go to the next film.
Far as the set design, when we're here in Dallas, we definitely found an older home and the South Dallas area. Um, and I actually went in and redid that whole house. I made it look like a grandmother's home, a well kept home by your grandma. And I pulled a lot of the aesthetics from what I remember my grandmother's home looking like. And I had a lot of things from my grandmother, from her leaving me a lot of things, art and just things that were left in my storage. And I went, okay, I know how to create this look for this house. And I brought in a lot of those type of things, the little teacups, things like that were placed in there, and even the artwork that was placed on the walls. If you remember home interior, if you remember your mom ever talking about home, it was a lot of that brought in and placed on those walls.
Wow. Whenever you do a home like that, the people like, hey, you can just keep it the way it is. Keep your design.
I've had
How do
I've had that particular home. I used a lot of furniture in there because that was actually the lady that we rented that home from. That was her mother's home, and she had recently passed, and she asked me to leave one room exactly as it was. I said I will because I it actually fits. But I had to turn one of the rooms into a childhood room for Khadijah's character. And I brought in like old trophies and things like that's where I'm saying that's when you have to study what era you're in. You got to know what a room would look like from 1990 or 1989. What would a teenager's room look like? And me coming from that era, I knew. So I made
I,
sure I had all those aesthetics in that particular room. And I'm trying to think what house that was we set up, and they said, "Can we just leave it just like this?" I can't remember who it was, but his wife walked in. She said, "B, we're going to leave it just like this." And I said, "Oh, okay." And because I actually used items out of her home, I just rearranged it. That was where my interior design came in, and I did my space planning and balanced the room out. And she was like, "B, I like this. Leave it." Oh, okay, let's leave it. So I have had that done before. And even with some of the costuming, I've had some actors ask the question, "Miss B, can I have this?" You got to talk to production. But can I have it? I'm like, you got
yeah,
to talk to production.
absolutely. I because sometimes I'll watch certain TV shows or whatever, and sometimes it like say for example if they're like shooting in the 80s, it'll look it look like an off version of the 80s. It'll like this is how it is how the 80s would look like in a dream, even though they have it like in reality. Then the other shows, it's like, wow, they really captured the essence of what the 80s look like.
Yeah, it's that's where I do my research. But with me growing up in the 80s, I knew that that going color at that moment in time was mauve. Everybody wanted mauve and cream. Everybody had mauve, cream, and some kind of tropical floral pattern of wallpaper on their walls. Those type of things. And it was very a modern feel and look that people wanted in their homes in the 80s. And I know the early 80s, it was phasing out from the 70s look of the oranges and the mustard colors and creams and browns, those things, that big, heavy, bulky furniture from the 70s. But going up into the 80s, that's when everything got really modern. And you saw a lot of the glass tables, the marble tables, things trimmed out in the metal of a cream color and all of that. That's where that research has to come in. Everybody needs to research and look at pictures and pull things from that, because a lot of people just pretty much say, "Okay, just hang that," and I've seen it, and it just make me cringe. I'm like, they didn't think about that. Oh my god! But I just want everybody to win, and I'm not, you know, bashing anybody, but I just really want everybody to win on making their film.
Yeah, because you're helping them build that world. You know, they have an idea
Yeah,
that's on the script, and then these characters are being dressed up. You know, and you want them to look lived in, and then also the spaces that they're at. You want it to look lived in, look real, just to kind of convince the viewer that this is really happening.
it has to be authentic for me. It has to be very authentic for me. Um, I think in the movie A Recession Proof, that one I dove in on that one as well, because I put up certain pictures that all of us in our community, the Black community, could relate to. The praying hand over the Bible. All of us remember that particular picture in our grandma's house. We know about the big Bible, family Bible, being on the coffee table. We knew about the candy jar sitting next to Big Mama, her glass of water that she said was water and it wasn't. So we knew, I made sure those kind of things were in place. Yeah.
All right, next one: run, hide, fight.
Oh,
What was your what was your department in this particular
I
project?
would simply, this is the one movie that actually taught me a lot and I brought back with me to the independent film world. Um, this one here, Cal Rankin directed this one. I think I thinking he wrote this one. I have to look and see for sure. But I had the opportunity to work with some great actors and creating the jewelry and the clothing, and I learned how to do the aging of the clothing and making it progress into um the actual torn, bloody look. I was introduced to all of these things in different tools. And on this particular set, I was wardrobe supervisor, where all I really needed to do was keep up with each scene and each costume that was worn in that scene. I would make sure I marked them. And in this movie, this is where I learned to have multiple outfits, that same outfit, but in multiple counts. So in this particular one, the main star, Zoe, I had that outfit that she has on that cover there. I had 7 of the identical outfit, but each one had a rip here, a tear here, a burn here. Yeah. And the actual jewelry that she's wearing, that was custom made by me. I made those.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. You sell those? You sell jewelry too?
No, it's
Okay.
just those are just hobbies and things that crafts that I like to do.
It adds to the character.
Yeah, and Cal Rankin was once we had our continuity meeting, he was like, I need something here for her and her mother to share. And that's when I brought up to him about the necklace. Can we get a necklace? And he said that because it was like right before we were starting to shoot. And I actually just went and got me a large stone and I cracked it up and I created the necklace that she and her mother wears throughout this whole movie.
So, when you're dealing with like budget, so and you got to kind of focus on one particular job, and when
Right.
the because I'm assuming this one was higher budget for this project.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So what? So after working on this project, now what do you get to like kind of pass on to like when we're working on indie with some of the experience and
This,
tip?
like I said, this one here is what showed me all the different departments, who were needed in the different departments. And this one is the one that shed light on, wow, I've been doing the art department, set, wardrobe, and costuming, and prop. And when I got on this set, it was different departments. And I'm like, huh. And I didn't know how to sit still. They would see me all over the set. Miss B, sit down. Go back in your office. I'm like, huh? I didn't know how to do it. But they showed me all of the different things that needed to be done. Um, and I tried to bring a lot of this back with me. I just really would like to build teams to work on everybody's set so that they could go a lot smoother and look realistic once we get them out there. Um, because just watching some of the movies now, like I said, they kind of make me cringe because I see the mistake. I mean, they're like right in my face, and I'm like, oh, somebody in continuity didn't catch that one.
Oh, I see. Yeah, continuity
And
is
that's a
big.
big pet peeve for me.
Hmm.
But I took a lot from this movie. They taught me a lot on this particular movie because in wardrobe department, you need exactly 6 people. Your wardrobe supervisor that keeps up with each, like I said, each scene and each costume. You have your shopper, you have uh, your wardrobe person that stays on set, you have your wardrobe person that does only continuity, and you have your PA, and you have your seamstress that's actually in that room with the wardrobe supervisor. So we all, doing pre-production, we all met up and had to put an entire room together. It was the size of a small boutique, maybe, but we had access to everything, the clothing rack, the hangers. We had laundry machines in the rooms, steamers. All of these things were there. Anything that we had to create to be dirty, torn, we had the tools. That's how I learned how to do certain things on that other movie, Mr. Gates for Dez. Um, this movie, Run Fight Hide, taught me how to age and um, create certain costumes with the different things that's called clean dirt and just all those different tools I needed to use to tear up the jackets and scuff up the hats, things like that.
That's pretty cool, and it just kind of shows you, through these different projects, the experiences you go through that you can take what you learn from that one and move on to the next thing. And that's what I love about film projects. Is like it's a new experience,
Yeah.
especially on the different genres.
Yeah. And when I went over into the art department of set and they showed me their budget and they said, B, can you sit in for just a second? And they said, call and make sure they deliver the trees. And I'm like, tree? We had to make this place look like we were in Nebraska.
That's
We
awesome.
were actually filming in Red Oak, Texas. So that was a wild moment for me. And they actually blew up this school. They blew up the front of that room.
Wow.
It was amazing for me.
Yeah. That's cool. So now you had in this particular film, you had the department, and you used to doing like 4 or 5 jobs or whatever. Now they just do one job.
One
Uh,
job.
and you know what? That's the thing about when you're in micro budgets and working on those films versus going onto projects that are union, because with unions you can't really step on other people's toes because that's
Correct.
a union thing. Um so what's in the future? What do you have cooking?
I have one thing that's in the no, I don't. I have two. I have two things that are coming up. I'm excited about those two. Um, two of my favorite directors and writers. And I actually have one that I'm really ready to come out. We finished this a while. I think you and I worked on that one together.
Yep.
Yeah, and once that one come out, that it's an anthology. So I'm ready for that one to come out. That was written by Nico Michelle. So I'm really excited for her. I'm excited for her, and that one was directed by Odessa Feaster. So I'm really proud of both of them with that project, and I'm ready to see that one. I haven't seen anything on it just yet. I've heard things. I'm just ready to see it now, and that's usually the way that I do it too, Reginald. I never go and look at if they B. I want you to see that. I know. I want to wait. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait to the premiere. I'm gonna wait till you get it out there because I want to be in the same setting as the audience, and I want to see the get the wow factor from it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do a lot of post production, so I have to see everything, especially doing DIT and all that. Like I
Yeah.
see every single scene, and then after the fact, I have to deliver that to the editors. Okay, so we're coming up on an hour. Is there any kind of last points or last tips you would like to leave with anybody that's interested into getting into this department? What are some resources that you would suggest as well?
I would suggest for them to take up some sort of art classes because it's definitely dealing with the art and the history of certain things. The movies could be set in different eras and genres, and just studying. I say you got to study your craft. Anybody in any part of filmmaking, you study your craft, and if you're really serious about it, you'll go into get on the sets. That's that's all I can really say. You need to get on the sets as a PA or whatever and work your way up. And I enjoyed working all of the departments. I'll go in and assist on some things because I want to know, well, what do you do? And I stood by you. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? And then so that's where I am. I wanted to know how all of us function and what makes this big movie magic. And just each department, everybody just need to study their craft. That's all I can really say. But being in set and wardrobe and costuming, I think you need to take up some classes on actual fashion design and costuming and things like that. And with set design, I think interior design could lead directly to that, or a stager even. They could, they have an eye for that, eye for detail. So I think that's a major thing to do. And just always read your script and be on top of that.
Absolutely. Like you were mentioning, just having a curiosity for the industry, asking questions and figuring out how this whole thing works together.
Hmm.
Where can people reach you? Like, what are some of like your main platforms, John? And then how can they reach out to you if they want to hire
My
you for a project?
Instagram is the Beehive Design Studio. And also my website is the beehivedesignstudio.com. And my Facebook is the Beehive Design Studio.
Rock and roll. I wanted to see if anybody had any questions. Anybody that's listening, do y'all have any other questions before we sign out? We had a couple of questions on here earlier.
I can't even see if anybody's on here.
You didn't? Oh, okay. Yes, I had. So while you were talking, I had put some comments that some of the viewers were putting on there. I forgot you're on your phone, so you probably didn't see it.
You're right.
It's all right. Um, yeah, I don't think anybody's putting anything. It's all good. Miss B, I appreciate it. Thank you for gracing us with your time today.
No, thank you so much for inviting.
Absolutely. We might need to do this again, and I might get you to do a master class, but we'll talk about that offline.
Okay.
Um, all right. All right.
Okay.
You have a good one, everybody. Thank y'all for tuning in. Until next time. Later.
Bye.